Hi, hello, namaskara. In today's session, again, we are continuing with the chapter number 3, current electricity. In that, we try to understand today with the Ohm's law, and it's a very famous one. Okay, if I want to discuss the further point, I had to go through some last session equations and ideas. That is, we have gone through the types of the conductor, solid, liquid, and gases. And in this chapter, we are only focusing on the conductors. In the conductors, who are the charge carriers? Generally, free electrons are the charge carriers. And at the end of the class, we try to understand that to have a current, always there are two necessary conditions. One, there must be charge carriers and there must be electric field. Then only I will get the current. But another interesting point, we have seen that whenever there is no electric field, the question will come, is the charges are under rest or motion? We have gone through that the charges are under random motion, therefore we are not getting the current, because to get the current the charges must have a definite direction. Therefore those charges are under random direction. If I want to bring in a particular direction, we have used the electric field and we get the current. This is the story we have seen in the last session. Today we are entering into the next aspect, that one is a Ohm's law. Okay, we have read this about in your 10th class. I will summarize two words here, that is this law give the relation between first one, that is a current, and second one is a potential difference. Second one is a potential difference. For that we are using a V here. We already know about the current, what it is. Now we have to speak of something about the potential difference so that we can be comfortable with our further classes. Now that is, to understand this, I'll take one scenario here. That is, we'll take a two solid conductors. Okay, that is, on this one, let us say we are having some 100 electrons. Similarly, on this sphere, again we are having some 40 electrons. Okay, remember that whenever some charge distribution is observed on the surface of the conductor, it is possessing some potential. It is always possessing some potential. Let us, I'll take it as somewhere V. Similarly, 40 electrons again producing corresponding potential to this sphere. I'll take it as somewhere V dash now. Okay, I want to bring the relation between these spheres which are having the different potential. Now what I will do, I'll take a wire and connect between them. Now let us see what will happen. Always we know that from our basic idea, always charge moves from higher concentration to the lower concentration. Therefore the charges will move now. The question will come, why it will move now? The reason, because there is a difference in the charge. There is a difference in the charge, and from this scenario we are getting some potential difference. We are getting some potential difference. To make it easy, let us say due to 100 electrons we are getting somewhere 10 volt, and due to somewhere 40 electrons we are getting, let us say, 6 volt. Means we are getting a potential difference of how much here? Totally of 4 volt. Okay, that 4 volt potential difference leads these charges to move from one body to the another body. The same condition will be used in building a battery, where we are having two ends, one is positive and the negative. Due to making the two ends of the battery with the different material, that gives us a potential difference across ends by doing some, otherwise undergoing some chemical reactions. Now okay, this is the story about what now here? Potential difference. And already we know about the current. Now to understand the Ohm's law, we must understand how can we build the equation. By understanding the definition, it's not enough to understand it. Therefore, we'll go through one analogy. Let's try to understand how the equation has been built now. Okay, I will take one mechanical example. Okay, let us say we are having a container. Okay, here we are having some water. This contains some water. Okay, but in between I'll connect somewhere. No, I'll fit a knob, otherwise somewhere I'll keep some restriction for the water motion now. Now what I will do, I'll set some condition, that is I'll assume that at this part we are having a water concentration, otherwise water of how much quantity, I'll write it here somewhere in the beginning. Let us say it is of how much liter here, 5 liter. At this side, what will be the concentration of the water? I'll set it here, it is of how much liter, 4 liter. Okay, now let's see that. Now slowly, if I remove this knob, means if I open this space slowly, what will happen? Think of it now. Generally we know that water moves from higher concentration to the lower concentration. By our idea, from our understanding, that water flows from higher concentration to the lower concentration, that is of to the how much which side now, that is towards the 4 liter. Therefore I'll take it as how much here now, 4 liter. Water flows from 5 liter to the 4 liter. Now it is clear now. Okay, let us say the amount of water which has been flown, I'll take it as somewhere how much liter here, 1 liter. Okay, now the next step what I will do, I'll keep the concentration of this side will be same, that is of, again it is of how much liter, 5 liter, but at this side now I'll make it to a how much liter here, 3 liter. Now think of it, there is no doubt, again the water has to pass from 5 liter to the 4 liter, and that is having a particular direction. These water molecules are having a particular direction towards what now, another side. Let us say at a q dash side, I can say. Therefore again 5 liter to 3 liter water will flow. Again if I check it now for a single second, in the beginning I assume that 5 liter to 4 liter water will flow within 1 second of how much quantity, 1 liter. Similarly, if I make it 5 to 3 liter, again within the same 1 second, if I check it, what is the amount of water has been passed, it is of how much liter, it must be smaller or it must be greater. If I think of it practically, it must be a greater of how much, it's a 2 liter. Similarly, if I make it here 5 liter again, but I'll make it a difference of how much here, 2 liter. Then let us check it. Then again the same story, water flows from 5 liter to 2 liter. Again within the same second, the quantity of water which has been passed, it must be again more now. Similarly, if I make it here 5 liter and if I make it here 1 liter, now as usual your answer must be known to me now. It must be how much now, it's a 4 liter. Means we can see as I change the height difference. Otherwise, when I say if I change the quantity of water in both the side, then the quantity of water flown, it is also must be of greater value. Therefore I can say the quantity difference, I'll make it as here what now here, delta q. Therefore this delta q can be written as here q difference of q dash, q difference of q dash. Therefore I can say here 1 liter, again here I can say it's a 2 liter, 3 liter and 4 liter. Means one point is clear, as I increase the quantity of water difference in the both sides, then the water flow is also increasing. Therefore quantity of water flow is directly proportional to the what now, that is current of water. I can say it's a current of water. More is the quantity of water difference, then more is the current of water we are observing from one side to another side. On the same way, we can bring the idea of the Ohm's law, that is if I consider a battery, okay, it is having, generally we know that two ends. Now I'll connect with this one a battery. Okay, when I connect the battery, I do some setting here, that is at one side in the beginning I'll make the potential difference of how much volt here, 5 volt. At another side I'll keep it a 4 volt. Now you must understand, because last analogy will tends us to understand the means present example. Therefore 5 liter and 5 liter. Now try to give the answer, ready with your answer. I'll go to that now. I'll make it in the beginning here 5 volt, and here at this side I'll make it here somewhere 3 volt now. Okay, similarly 5 volt, here I'll make it somewhere 2 volt now. Similarly I will make it here 5 volt, and here I'll make it how much volt now, 1 volt. Now think of, as I increase the potential difference, tell me what will happen to the current from one side to another side of the battery. Okay, we'll discuss that now. When I make the potential difference at here, it is 5 volt and the 4 volt. Let us say we are having a current of how much here? It is of somewhere of 1 ampere now. Okay, when I make it 5 volt again to the 3 volt, instead of 4 volt I make 3 volt, again the difference is how much now? It will be increased. Therefore in the beginning the potential difference we are having, that is potential difference, I'm using a word here, that is delta V. If I make it as here somewhere V, and if I make it this one as V dash, then I will write it as delta V. Therefore, it is of 1 volt. Now, in the next step, I have increased the potential difference 5 volt to 3 volt. Then, difference between the potential has been increased. Therefore, it is of how much volt here? 2 volt. As a result, current must be increasing or decreasing. From the last analogy, think of it. It must be increasing. It is of how much here? It's of 2 ampere. Similarly, when I make it to 5 volt to 2 volt, it is of how much volt here? 3 volt difference. Then corresponding to that 3 ampere. Similarly, when I make it 4 volt, again current must increase. That is of how much ampere? It's of a 4 ampere. Means, think of the definition. Now we are ready to build it now, because we are having delta V for the potential difference and I for the current. Therefore, we can get the idea there must be increase in the current whenever there is a change in the potential difference. Greater is the change in the potential difference, greater is the current we are observing. From this idea, we can conclude that current flowing through a conductor is directly proportional to the potential difference across the ends of the conductor. I is directly proportional to V is the standard equation we are having. Therefore, if I bring to the definition, that is the current flowing, okay, I'll make correct it, it's a current flowing through a conductor is directly proportional to the potential difference across the ends of the conductor, provided physical conditions unchanged. Here physical conditions means one thing is temperature and second thing is it may be a pressure. Okay, about this discussion we are doing in a detail for what now? Limitations of the Ohm's law, where we are coming across this concept now. Therefore, the current flowing through a conductor, is directly proportional to the potential difference across the ends of it. Therefore, on writing this equation, again we are ready with the another scenario now, because whenever we are having a proportional, I can also write, I will write this in this way, okay, because this one is more familiar, but this is the standard method to write now. Okay, whenever we are having a proportionality constant, okay, now we have to remove it now. Therefore, by removing this proportionality constant, we are having a constant as what now? It's a R, where R defines the resistance. Remember, where R defines the resistance now. Okay, now if I ask you what is the basic meaning of the resistance, it is the opposition of it, right? Now, but how can I fit into the current electricity? Because if I, what I have done in the last diagram here, okay, that is I'm using, let us say, copper wire in the beginning here now. Okay, therefore we are getting all this scenario, otherwise I'll draw all these things due for the what now? Copper. Now what I will do, if I change, instead of copper, if I take it as aluminum now. Okay, now think of it, for the same potential difference 5 volt and 4 volt, that is potential difference of 1 volt, shall I get the same current or different current? Think of it now. Think of it, it must be a different current. Why it is so? Because the property of copper and aluminum is different, therefore the charges available and the resistance quality of both the conductors will be different. Therefore, even though on having the same potential difference for the copper and aluminum, the quantity of current must be different. If it is for what now? Copper, if I write it, and if I write it for aluminum, for example, it may be somewhere 1.5, it may be 2.5, it for 3.5, and here we are having a 4.5, let us say. Means this is the difference we are observing. Means there is some quantity observed in the conductor which differentiates them. That differentiation, or that quantity which differentiates the material, is nothing but what now here? Resistance. This resistance is a physical quantity which decides how much is the current will be flowing through any conductor. On the same idea, now we are having this equation now. Okay, therefore if I move on to the next one, that is how can I understand the resistance. Okay, therefore in general if I ask you, it is the opposition offered by the conductor for the flow of charges through itself. We are using capital R for the resistance. Therefore it is a measure of the opposition to current flow in an electrical circuit or network, we can say. Otherwise, already we know the equation of Ohm's law, that is V is equal to IR. From that, I can bring another relation for the resistance. R is equal to, what is that now? V divided by I, where we can see the ratio between the voltage and the current. Therefore, ratio of potential difference applied across its ends to the resulting current through the conductor is nothing but what now? Resistance, we can say. For this one, we are having a SI unit. For a resistance, we are having a SI unit as what now here? Ohm. We are having a SI unit as what now here? It's a ohm. This is the symbolic representation. Clear? Now, from the Ohm's law, we'll go through another activity, that is how to draw the graph for this one. Otherwise, from the graph, what the result we are obtaining, that one we try to understand now. That is, whenever we are given with some voltage value and the current value, then I had to draw the graph by using the data from voltage and current. Therefore, if I plot the graph, let us say here we are getting the current and here we have to draw the voltage now. Okay, now from the data, let us say voltage and the current, what you had done in the beginning. Okay, if I use this data, and this one, okay, you can see here how the voltage is changing, current is also changing, and that observation is done more clearly. That change is what now here? Linear. If there is one voltage increase, there must be increase in 1 ampere current. Again here also we can see, here also can see. Therefore the change corresponding to voltage and the current, those are linear. Whenever any relation is having the linear property, then graph must be a straight line passing through the center. Now for this graph, if I draw the slope, let us, I'll name this point as A, this as B and C. Therefore slope has to give some answer now. Let us check it now. That is, slope is equal to AB divided by BC. From the diagram I can see here, AB is giving something information regarding the potential difference, that is delta V. Similarly, this BC is giving us some information regarding the delta I. Therefore that is delta I now. Delta V divided by delta I, think of from the last slide, that's V by I is nothing but what now here? Resistance. Therefore the slope drawn to the VI graph always gives us a resistance. That point you must remember. And another informative point, that is, any electrical apparatus or otherwise equipment which satisfy the Ohm's law, we are calling all those equipments, otherwise those material, as ohmic device. Those are called as here ohmic device, otherwise ohmic conductors, and which does not, they are called as what now here? Non-ohmic device. Understood? There are some information regarding the Ohm's law. In the next session we are going in detail only for what now here? Resistance, if possible, to the resistivity. Okay.